Hi everybody, Heather from New Zealand here. We're up to day 19 on our Flylady system. We're working our way from being overwhelmed to having order in our house. So if you're wanting to keep on track and keep going with this program, you're really holding on to the vision of having a clutter-free, organised, clean home, but are finding it a little bit hard to keep going, keep watching because that's what today's all about. So, first of all, have you got a shiny sink? Are you dressed to shoes? I'm dressed to shoes. No, I can't bend that far. Trust me, I've got my favourite sneakers on. They're laced up. Shiny sink, dressed to shoes. Have you done the rest of the things on the morning schedule? What have we got? Have you done your 2-minute hotspot? Did you set your timer for 2 minutes? I've done mine. I'm feeling really happy about that. I love 2-minute hotspots. They're great. So let's hope that you've done your morning program. If you haven't, push pause and come back. I'll be waiting. Now, if you're seeing these videos for the first time, you'll see that we're up to day 19, which is quite a bit of progress. Please go back to video number 1 and start the process step by step by step. If you start at day 20, it's going to be a little bit hard to play catch up. It's better to build up those steps. So as always, there's a link below for that first video and you can work your way through to day 20 and we'll be here waiting for you when you arrive. But that's the way the system works, building step by step. Now, as I said, we've been going for 2.5 weeks. So that's actually quite a long time, and you know, there's a lot of things can happen in your life in 2 weeks. So it's time for a bit of a review and a bit of reflection on where we're up to. Where we're up to individually, where you're up to in particular. So first question of all, have you been doing it? Have you been doing the actual steps? It's one thing to have it in our mind as a theory. It's another thing to have it as a hope. You know, we'd like to do this system, it sounds good, we think it'll work well, but are you actually doing it? Now, I'm not saying, are you doing it perfectly? I think we've kind of got rid of that idea that anybody does anything perfectly. I remember I heard a lovely story once, and it applies to all situations I can think of. I think it was the Quakers, I'm not sure. It might have been the Amish or the Quakers, one of those groups of people, and they do beautiful embroidery, amazing embroidery, and especially in the old days, I don't know if they do it now. So it might have been about embroidery, it could have been about quilting, that's what makes me think it might have been the Quakers. And they would intentionally put a mistake in their work. Now their work was, it was art, it was beautiful, but there would always be a mistake in there because their belief was that only God in heaven is perfect, nothing else is perfect. So they always made sure there was some little bit of error in their work, and that really touched my heart. I really liked that that philosophy, that idea. You don't have to do it perfectly. Now, if any of you know whether it was the Quakers or maybe it was the Amish or maybe it was somebody else, maybe I've got it completely wrong, please pop it in the comments because I'd like to know for sure what that story, who did that. But either way, the inspiration of the story very much applies to here. When I say, have you been doing the baby steps? What I'm asking is, have you been making a consistent effort to do it, and have you been making progress? Now, that progress will look different to everybody. It may be that you've managed to shine your sink 3 times a week, and think, oh, that's not very many. But how many times did you shine your sink before you started the Flylady? Maybe you never saw the light of day. So that is progress. That's getting somewhere. Okay? The next thing, excuse me, how about making your bed? How often do you get to make your bed? How often do you get to dress to shoes? If you're doing these things more and more and more, you're making progress. Don't worry about perfect. Remember, according to the Quakers, only God in heaven is perfect, so we don't have to worry about being perfect. Now, I had found when I started off with this Flylady system, I would, what's the saying? I'd keep falling off the wagon. I'd keep getting it wrong. I'd be tired. I wouldn't get the night time thing done. I'd get busy. I would get angry and cross about something, and I would go, well, I'm not going to do this silly thing, you know. And whatever the reason, it didn't matter. I wouldn't do it. And I'd feel like, oh, all that progress I'd made has gone. I'd put on my big girl pants and say, come on, Heather, you can do this. And I'd start again from scratch. I'd go back to day one and say, okay, I'm going to shine my sink. And you know what I found? I actually had to do that a number of times before I realised that even though it was falling apart and I was having to start again and I felt a bit of frustration, I noticed that each time I started again, I'd learnt something. Something was a bit easier. There was less underlying rubble to deal with, if you like rubble. There was less underlying rubbish and clutter to deal with. I was making progress, even though I would take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. Over time, I was moving forward. So please don't feel discouraged if you feel like you've failed on the Flylady and that you can't do it. Go back, start again, see how you go. I find now where I'm at the moment, I start again every day. Every day I think, okay, where am I up to? What am I doing? I'm shining my sink. Okay, I'll shine my sink. If it's done, if I've done it the night before, woof, it's done. I use my control journal as my external hard drive, and I say, okay, this is going to tell me what to do. I will just follow this pattern, follow this pattern, follow this pattern. And you know what? It's working. Over time, it's working. It's becoming my habit. I don't have to think about it as much. I find that I'm getting up, doing some things. By the time I get to my Flylady list, I've already got 4 or 5 things I can tick without even thinking about it. That is progress. That is really, really good. Now, I've written down a couple of notes. What else have we got to talk about today? We've talked about being a perfectionist one. That's a big thing. That's something we really need to work at. On the Flylady website, there are quite a lot of testimonies of people talking about what they did, you know, how the Flylady transformed your life, and that's a really good thing to read if you want to. Also, she's got books that she's written, and you could buy the books if you wanted to, or if you're you know, wanting to organise your money and spend a little bit less, maybe your library has got the book, or you could order it through the library if it's not available, and they might get it in for you. So there's plenty of ways. Christmas is coming up. Drop a few hints. Maybe some people might like to buy you the Flylady book. Keep yourself inspired. That's what this is all about. Hear other people's stories of success. Read about their testimonies on the websites and in the books. Surround yourself with material that's going to help keep you going. And remember, the Quakers, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, that's all for day 19. Please, it's quite an easy day today, really. It's just, you know, focusing on keeping on going. We're not actually adding anything new to our journals, but that doesn't mean it's not an important day. So please keep going with your morning routines, your afternoon routines. If this is all new to you, go back to step 1 and start there. Also, it will be really helpful for me if you could subscribe and support what I'm trying to do on this channel. I would really appreciate that. There's a subscribe button down there, and at the end of the video there'll be another opportunity to subscribe, and also to see the other videos that click onto the other videos that you might want to watch as well. The more we can support ourselves learning about the Flylady and being organised, the better it's going to be. Remember, if you're on the web, timer. That's on 2 minutes at the moment. Allow yourself 15 minutes from one of your breaks to have a look at one of the other videos. Okay, bye from New Zealand. I'll see you tomorrow when it'll be day 20.